Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Morning.
Morning.
Lancaster area Woodturners Coffee Hour. I don't know if it's 61 or 62, something like that. We're coming to you today from our meeting space at lovely Kauffman Kitchens building in New Holland, PA.
Okay.
Got 3, 4, 7 guys in the room, and I'm going to take the camera off me in a minute. I just want to make a couple of announcements. The main one that we have not been making in the past is please silence your phones. And if you take a call on your phone, please silence your microphone. Let me see, what else? Next week, we're going to have a special guest, Josh Friend, the editor of American Woodturner, is going to join us. I have some pictures of some of his work to show, and we'll ask him all kinds of questions about how he prepares the magazine and why he does it the way he does. And we'll have a chance to tell him what we think of what he does too, as well, as long as we're not too unkind. And after that, in July, we're still negotiating with the AAW for a spot as part of their convention. And it looks like we might be able to snag a spot after the Saturday sessions before the auction, is sort of a coffee hour summing up. But that's all yet to be undecided, and we'll let you know how it goes. Today, we don't have any special guests. We're going to show our setup a little bit, and we're going to do show and tell with you guys on Zoom and with us guys here in the room. Okay, Bruce says he's got some slides on coring. That's great. I know Kai has some slides. And anybody else who has some show and tell that you didn't quite get to bring, that you can hold up, go get it. This is your chance. Now, there's the gallery view. I hope you're all seeing that. The spotlight disappeared. Yes? Say something out there.
We still. Oh, good.
Good? You seeing the gallery view?
Yes.
Okay. We also learned last week how to see 49 on your screen. You go to the caret down by stop video, the up arrow, and go way down to the bottom of that. You'll find a way to change what you see on your screen from 25 dudes to 49 dudes and dudettes, that is. I see Karen Drennan's here, although she hasn't got her camera on. Yeah. Now, before I go any further, anybody got any questions or answers?
I'd like to see if you, I'd like to discuss something and get some opinions. Is that okay?
Certainly is. You want to do it now?
Yeah, now or later, you pick it.
You go for it. Oh, I'll come back to you, I think. We've got some stuff we're going to do first. No, but we won't forget you, Axel. Anybody, who else has got stuff they're going to show? Give me a raise hand. Okay, good. The other thing I want to say is, in the interest of equality, the people in the room have to raise their hand to be given the talking stick, which gives them a microphone. And the people on Zoom, we would like to raise hand, which will bring them up to the top of my screen when they want to talk, and we'll go to you each in turn. And I see I've got Ken Vasco, Mike Peace, and Alan Miller up there right now. And if any of you three is dying to say something right away, say it. Otherwise, we'll come to you in rotation on the show and tell. Is that right?
Good.
Yeah. Our setup here includes, we've got 4 active cameras in the room right now. We have the ability to have more cameras, but we found last week with 5, it was kind of a bit too much, too confusing. Oh, we got 5 on now. Doug's got an iPad going. We're sort of trembling on the precipice here of having something that we can manage ourselves and that produces a good show and doesn't get all uptight, versus having too much gear that we don't know how to run or too many complicated settings. And we're looking for a balance here that works. And I think we're getting pretty close to it. And we will be putting out some information on what we've done here out to the AAW for other clubs. There's 2 more panel discussions coming up on club setups for hybrid meetings and Zoom meetings. And I think that we're going to be on one of them. Okay, Barry, do you want to go first? Barry has done a bunch of work on his setup that he had here last week, and we're not going to go through the whole routine, but we're going to give him a chance to show what he was trying to show last week, because it's really pretty interesting what he's done. Now I'm going to go to the Barry camera. There's Barry. There's the setup.
Okay. Good morning. I hope you all can hear me okay.
Just a second. I'll spotlight you, and I'm going to. There's the camera on you.
Okay. A couple of changes. One is John recommended that I paint the parts that are distinct from the mock-up lathe I have here, the red parts are all part of the turning set. I also want to acknowledge Kai's suggestion at the end of last week. I implemented it here and it works wonderfully. It's an adjustable tensioning feature, so I don't know. Before I had to have 3 belts, so that each belt was used for different size pulleys. Now I can use 1 belt and I just adjust this arm. So thank you again, Kai.
Doug, could you zoom out a bit so we could see that?
Like that.
Here's the thing we're really gonna allow
No,
ourselves.
I haven't.
You have it, okay, just a sec. I want to get it overhead as well. We're gonna allow ourselves to do these pauses where we say, hey, will you move the camera? Because we're not live TV, we're just a bunch of woodturners.
I can't zoom, but I can just roll it back.
There you go, that's it, perfect. Lock it down. So that's that view.
Yeah, the device down here is what I'm referring to. Kai had suggested this modification and it really works great. Just add 1 more pulley to the system and I got a bunch of those laying around from the various iterations of this kit. So let me get into, I'll run it so you can see at least 1 helical groove being made, 1 spiral. First of all, the object is I made this, and it's not really nice wood. It is cherry, but it has a serious defect in the side, so it won't be a keeper. But my idea was it would be like a pineapple box, pineapple cup, if you will. So I hollowed it out and it has a top.
Keep the mic near your chin if you can.
So we're going to go ahead and it's a pretty tight fit right now, which is what I desired for this. And then we'll go ahead and capture it in the lathe.
Can you guys hear him okay?
Fine,
Good. Gotta have that kind of feedback.
no problem whatsoever, clear as a bell.
Okay, so there it's captured between the centers. And all it remains is I have it already set up for the first pass. And so after I make that pass, I'll explain what you do with each successive pass to create a multiple spiral pattern. So it's liable to get noisy here when I turn this on. After I plug it in. How it can traverse in and out. And then left to right motion is controlled by turning the knob. After you make 1 pass, return it to its stop position. That's a little adjustable red stop I have down here. Return it to its stop position and unlock the belt. The belt is just a serpentine belt that is secured to this, and that's what fixes everything with respect to the indexing table, indexing disc. Okay, so now keeping it tight against there, we advance to the next position, and this is going to be ultimately 12 rings. So I advance it 30 degrees.
We're not gonna do all 12 here
No.
today.
Just 2. Get it in place. Then make sure I'm up tight against the stop there. And that the belt is free. And then we tighten the belt down. And this part of the belt right here is where the 2 ends join. And I just put this coloring in there so it was obvious. You don't want to have this go down and go around the pulley, it does not work well. It's very stiff. But that won't be an issue unless you're turning something that was really huge. It only advances linearly by the circumference of the device that you're turning. Okay, so now I can unpin back here so it's free to turn. Oops. And we start off again. Trying to keep this brief, we're just going to do these 2 grooves.
Wow. I gotta say, Barry, you are the most amazing jig maker I have ever met. And I've met a lot of guys who are very good woodworkers. You make jigs that blow me away. The refinements you have in them, the stops, the adjustments, just the sheer efficiency of them all.
Thank you. Key to the successful working of this is keep it under tension, about as much tension as you can manage, so you don't get any slop or backlash. Right now I have it about as tight as it can be. The only slop, if you will, introduced is because of I'm on this homemade lathe bed here, and the carriage bed has a slight capability of racking maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and so you have to make sure you keep it under pressure in one direction so you don't get into any chattering.
So how did you learn to be such a good jig maker?
I was a designer as a mechanical engineer before I became an aeronautical engineer, and I've always just completing ideas. Would be a requirement would be put out, and it was an ego challenge to a bunch of us to be the one that come up with the best solution. And so I strive toward that. I got in the habit of tedium, I guess.
But you also learned a lot from other guys doing in this.
I absolutely did. Mainly machinists who would make suggestions interactively with me when I was doing my professional work, and picked up a lot of tips and limitations. And that was the main thing, that I didn't go ahead and design something that couldn't be implemented.
Anybody got any questions for Barry?
I see John Cholican.
Yes. Barry, very interesting machine. How would you, if you wanted to create a diamond pattern, getting the spirals going in the opposite direction, how would you do that?
Thank you. Great question. What I would do is, since the carriage moves left or right, whether it holds on to the belt at the front edge or at the back edge, and you can see that the camera can pick it up. I have holes back here on the back edge as well. So I would unclamp here. And I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but you go ahead, and I have to put slack in the belt so I can run it around, because I always want to have this impossible little feature that won't go over a pulley. I want to have it right adjacent to the table. So I go ahead and run it around under slack where it was over here, and then clamp down.
Is that a little pulley on that block?
No, it's just a friction. It's just a.
Oh, I see.
It just crushes the belt, or compresses the belt, I should say. It doesn't crush it.
It holds it in position.
And I'm going to be modifying that so that the belt doesn't do this half turn. This thing is really a work in progress. This is like the 9th iteration, and I make little improvements each time. Like I say, I'm really into tedium.
You're into getting it right is what you're into, like a lot of us.
So now, it's also key to always make sure you are unpinned. I thought about making some kind of an electrical circuit so that if I didn't have a green light, don't turn the handle, because a couple times if it stays pinned, it'll just strip on the knob. It won't ruin your piece, but it won't go anywhere. So anyhow, if I'm now clamped down on the rear, and you can see that before this would be turning counterclockwise, looking at it from the head tailstock end. Now, as you can see, as I move left to right, it's turning clockwise. And so ultimately, when I finish this, it would have a diamond pattern to emulate a pineapple, which completes the effect. And then those of you who like to do carving would clean up the grooves on here or use a different cutter and make it look even more like a pineapple if you want to complete the illusion.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Anybody got another question? Okay, then I'm going to move along.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That's great. Give me a second here. I'm going to replace the spotlight. There you are, Alan. You got those tool rests you showed us last week? You're muted, Alan.
There we go. I'm unmuted. And now go to share screen. And right here and slideshow. Do you see it?
Perfect.
Okay.
Everybody else see it? See his slide and Alan alongside it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Go for it, Alan.
Okay. My Harbor Freight came with a 12-inch tool rest, which is adequate for many things, but not for everything. And I especially noticed the limitations back a couple months ago when we were trying to make spheres. It was just way too big to get in there. And so I came up with deciding to make my own tool rest. And I almost feel the need to apologize for my welding. I did a fair amount with a stick welder about 45 years ago. And more recently, I've been tinkering around with a friend's flex wire feed welder. So anyhow, I was able to, another friend gave me some bar stock, 1-inch bar stock, which did not fit my, for the stem there. It was about 35 thousandths too big, but with a lathe and a file, well, you can take care of some of that stuff. Got it down to 0.97 inches.
How long
And then drilled it out, and that tool rest there is 4 inches, and that allows me to get in much closer to do some of the other smaller work. In addition to that, I also made up a 6-inch one. And then I wanted something for getting down inside of a vase. So again, using some scrap that I had around the shop, why I welded up that piece that goes down inside. And I haven't used that much yet, but I think that should work. Always having trouble when you've got too much of your tool out over the tool rest. And that was the way I was trying to go after that. And then just for anyhow, I went and put together a curved one for doing the around bowls. So those are my 4 tool rests that I made over the last month or so.
So what kind of welder are you using, Alan?
Harbor Freight. Well, one friend, I used his stick welder to start with, and came back and cleaned it up and really didn't like what I saw. And so another friend has loaned me his wire feed Harbor Freight welder. And that's what I currently have in my garage. And I went after it the second time with the wire feed.
Okay, I'm going to try a maneuver here, side-by-side gallery. Now, do you guys all see, all of you all beside Alan's picture, Alan's slide?
See 2 rows of people.
Yeah. You got any questions for Alan?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Stainless steel or
No, it's mild steel. just stuff I had around the house.
You gotta go to it, but
Alan?
Yes.
This is Randy Smith.
Yes, Randy.
There's a gentleman named Rick Carroll who's on the Pen Turners Group website, and he makes lathe tools that are modular. The bars are hardened so so tools don't grab them.
Gotcha.
And they're very high quality.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering about what the best way to do that kind of welding is. I understand there's a lot of new welding technologies. I mean, can anybody learn that, or do you have to have a lot of practice? Anybody can learn it.
Stick welding, I learned very quickly 45 years ago. The wire feed I'm having more trouble with, but I'll let others who have more experience than I do speak to it.
Alan, I'd like to make a comment on your rest that goes inside the
Yes.
box. Some of the commercial ones, the rest is horizontal rather than vertical, the way you have it. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. You might look into that. That might be a little better approach.
They still have to have something underneath though, don't they? Otherwise it would just flop up and down.
Well, you use a heavy enough bar. The bar is horizontal. And you lay your tool on top of that.
Those are
Okay.
more platform rests than this. This
Yeah.
is more of a J rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good for boxes.
Yeah.
Platform rests are excellent for boxes as opposed to J rests, which is good for poles and stuff like that.
I think Robust sells one that looks a lot like this.
Yeah, they do. Any
Okay.
other comments? Okay, I'm going, oh, sorry, somebody got a comment?
John, this is Gerald.
Yeah.
Yes, Gerald.
If you could spotlight me, I have a tool rest here that a gentleman in our club
Hold
came
on
up with the idea. Yeah.
Hold on a second, Gerald. What we're gonna do is stop,
Alan's got to stop a share.
Alan's gotta stop his share.
I see it now. It's at the top of the screen. There you go.
Okay, now I'm gonna spotlight Gerald. Everybody got Gerald?
Yeah.
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 What is it? It's part of a wheel, a truck wheel. Just cut the top section off, mounted it to a post, has a nice curved surface to it, and it's extremely hard.
Gerald, is that a truck wheel or a truck spring? That looks like a spring to me.
That's the top edge of a wheel.
Okay.
Turn the profile. There we go.
Talk so casually about just cut that off, Gerald. How would I do that?
Well, settling torch works great, or a grinder, cutoff wheel.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Great.
What do you do with the rest of the truck wheel?
You make more of them. He had the truck wheel and he gave several of us a piece of it, and that's what we've done.
That's great. Thank you.
Nice.
Never. Okay, I'm gonna take the spotlight off of Gerald and I'm gonna go back to gallery view here. Don't mind me talking about all this because I'm trying to learn how to do this too. You all see in gallery view?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen John Chalikian has his hand up. What's
Yeah,
on?
John, John, for Alan,
Yes.
how did you, on your tool rest, how did you bend, or how did you put the curves into that bend iron?
Just using my vise and gradually putting pressure on
Okay.
is how I got the curves. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was wondering if you had a machine or how you did that.
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Mike raised his hand, Joel. Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, since we're talking about tool rests, I can show one that somebody helped me make in their shop that has a profile to it, which I thought was interesting. He used a piece of 4-inch steel pipe. If I can share the screen, I can show pictures of a couple.
You're spotlighted right now.
Okay. I don't know if y'all did I get that shared screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Can you
There you
see
go.
that?
Yep.
Yeah, so he took this 4-inch pipe and quartered it, and he made me 2 of these because the angles that he cut these things, you know, left another one that was already cut. So he made me a 6-inch and a 5-inch, and then later the 5-inch wasn't as useful as a 4-inch. So I had a friend of mine with a cutoff saw that chopped it down a little bit to a 4-inch. So it's a very nice profile that they have. It has the kind of profile like a robust, but it's fairly soft metal. It's got to be touched up with a file periodically.
Now, you had your hand up before, Mike. You got something else you want to show us?
I do. This is, I'm working on a video on this. This is called a Kirsten Cone, or a reversing rod, and it's used for taking a hollow form, and I guess I should put it in. It goes inside a hollow form.
Go back closer to your face with it. You're too close.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There we go. So this, figure out which end is which. This end is held in the chuck, or a spigot chuck, pen jaws or something, and then the hollow form goes over this tip, and then so you bring up the tailstock, so all the pressure is down here. This is for removing the tenon. This is just backed up with a couple of nuts to stabilize it. So if you can envision then the hollow form, you know, this fitting in the hollow form, it rests on the bottom and all the tension is on the bottom. And again, this cone just stabilizes it. So it's really great for hollow forms that you're removing the tenon on. Because if you use a specialized wooden cone of some sort that's just as a drive center, you're going to have a tendency to either damage this or get marks on it or break it out.
You have like a foam tape on there?
Yeah, that's closed cell foam. They call fun foam. It's a 1/16 of an inch. You get it for about $1 for a 1-foot square at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. This one might actually be made out of a flip-flop that my wife got at a pedicure. I can't remember.
Any more questions for Mike?
I have a question for you.
Doug has a question.
Yeah, just, Mike, you just put that threaded rod straight into your truck?
Yes. I actually use a collet chuck with a 3/4 inch collet, and that holds it very well. But as I said, pen jaws, the two jaws will work, or spigot jaws. Kind of depends on your chuck. And this is, I didn't mention, this is basically just 3/4 inch, 10 thread per inch coarse rod that you can get at a big box store, Home Depot or Lowe's, with a couple of nuts to lock your cone, or you can thread the cone and get away with just one, but it's got to be lockable.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, any more questions for Mike?
Yeah, I have one. Not on Mike. I saw your video on the easy loader that you made, where you can lift your log up in the back of a vehicle.
Yeah, with my shop ferry demonstrating.
That was, what do you think the weight limit might be for something like that?
If you have hinges on it, it's not going to hold up too long. So if you got a pickup truck and you don't have to have it folding, it's whatever those two 2x4s would hold, which I would think, you know, in that orientation with two of them, I would think, you know, the sky's the limit.
I'm interested in making one like that, only out of metal, and just because of trying to lift up a log maybe section that might weigh 300 pounds. I just feel a little bit.
I say sky the limit. I really don't know, but two 2x4s in parallel ought to be pretty strong. You could always double it. You know, it'd be a little heavier to move, but by putting two of them, you know, laminating them on each side. But metal is fine if you've got that capability, which I don't.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? Mike, I'm going to take the spotlight off you. I think I am. I got to figure out exactly how. Gallery view, and I got to remove your spotlight. Okay.
I think you got to go to my picture.
I just did. Everybody
Yep.
should have gallery view back. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go to a couple guys in the room before we go back to guys in the Zoom room, partly because I want to treat everybody as equally as we can. So whose bowls are those out there anyhow? Who brought those? Okay, why don't you take the talking stick and come and pick them up, and Ron will put the camera here and I'll focus the camera on you.
I'm probably the new guy in the room.
Well, just a second now. Come on, come over to your bowl and pick it up. Yeah, and Ron's going to keep up with you. Now, to introduce yourself, new guy in the room.
Yes, I'm Don Brubaker.
Don, you're looking at the camera that Ron has.
Over here.
There we go.
You're Don Brubaker,
Don
and you live in Ephrata, is that right?
In Ephrata, yes.
And you just joined our club, is that right?
I did.
How'd you find out about us?
A friend told me about the organization.
All right.
Actually, I'd heard about it a couple of years earlier, but the club meets Tuesday evenings, and I have another engagement Tuesday evenings.
Well, you can do the coffee hour Thursday mornings, yeah?
Now that will work. Yes.
Okay.
Hold it up.
Now hold the mic up closer to your chin.
Okay.
That's good. Now tell us about that bowl.
Yes. I don't know where I got this piece of wood, and I'm assuming, or it looks to me like it's yellow pine. Would you agree? And
we'll take that as a good guess.
Yeah. The form is simple, rather ordinary form and shape, but there's all kinds of features dancing around in here. I love the way the light plays in here, both on the inside and on the outside. It just reflects it, or whatever you call it. And then there is the gray color in there. And someone here suggested that it was Spalding.
The gray is a fungus usually in pine.
Okay.
Pretty stuff though. Boy, that's a beautiful piece of wood.
I think so.
Now, is that other piece down on the table yours as well?
It is. This I call my, a naughty bowl. I looked, well, first of all, I made the feature ring, and because I like the colors and the textures in there. But the problem with it is that it was narrow enough that it had to be a perpendicular form, and had to figure out how to put it together. This bowl fought me for a year as I was trying to figure out what to do with it. And it threw itself off the lathe onto the hard concrete floor. And each time I thought, oh no, that's the end of it. But lo and behold, there was not a crack to be found on it. And I was able to complete it. Now, like a parent who struggles with a naughty child, I kept trying to finish this up, and it's a bowl that I'm not sure I would be willing to sell anymore. It's one I would like to keep for myself. But
I have a question for you. You said that the top ring was too narrow. Does that mean you made your segments too short?
Well,
so that you didn't have enough wood to make this more of a curve?
Right.
Yeah. Longer segments would work on that.
Or wider.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wider strip that you cut your segment from.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been turning?
Oh, maybe. Well, we moved back to Lancaster County about 6 years ago, and I started turning maybe a year or two before we moved. After we moved, I tore into it with seriousness, and spend a lot of time in my workshop, keep myself out of my wife's hair. We're both retired, and so it's a very gratifying hobby.
What are you using for a lathe?
Ray Simmons sold me a lathe, Nova 2000, and I'm very pleased with it. It has the features that I was looking for. I'd had a jet bench top before, MIDI, and before that another cheapo that I got from my father-in-law, and so it's a very gratifying hobby.
Thank you very much for the intro. And while we have the mic on that table, I have a piece over there I'm going to show you. So I'm going to get up from my computer here and come over to here. I'm looking at you also, Ron, in that camera. Yeah. Oh, can't see myself. Let me see. See, we're still learning how to do this. There's the view. Yeah. This is a piece I made in 1974. Huh?
Look at Ron.
Yeah, I got to look at Ron, right. This is a piece, well, I got to look at over there to see what's going on too. This is a piece I made in 1974. It started out as a bowl with a post in the middle. So it's a big round bowl. And I turned it with, I didn't get rid of the center dimple, I emphasized it. And I also made into it in the back. And then I put the bowl down on the bandsaw table with a piece of plywood on top of it and drew an S-curve and then sawed on the S-curve and then glued the bowl together, rim to rim, and the center of the post to the center of the post. And then did a little bit of work with a rasp, and it came out this kind of Nautilus shell. And if I knew better at the time, I would have made the rim with a bit of a flange, so it wouldn't have a glue line down in there. But I didn't, so wound up with a flange. And I always thought I would make some more of these, but I never did. So that's my show and tell from 1974. Questions?
So that bowl's glued together in the rim.
Yeah.
Wow,
I've
that's
done that.
gorgeous.
John?
Yeah.
Kelsey?
Yeah.
Would you bring that to the picnic? I'd like to take a good hard look at it because I find it fascinating.
I sure will.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, you can come here and look at it, of course. Axel, you're here in town.
Yeah, I'm almost there, you know?
Okay. Okay, anybody else in the room got anything they want to show since we got the camera on in the room? Here's the spotlight. Okay, these are the dudes in the room. Any of you dudes got anything else that you brought today? If not, I'm going to go back to the Zoom gallery. And now that I have you all back on gallery view, how are we doing so far with managing this camera stuff and all this? Are you enjoying it? Is it working?
Definitely working.
Love to see it. Okay, now I know Kai has some stuff. Dave Dilo has some stuff. Ken Vasco has some stuff. I got Ken Vasco's up at the top of the screen. You want to go, Ken? Or Dave Dilo, rather. You want to go, Dave?
Oh, sure.
Okay, you got the spotlight.
Okay, share screen. There, can you see it?
You can.
Okay, I was interested in, our club has a instant gallery, Zoom instant gallery every month, and I always enter in a piece, and these are for pieces that you've made during the COVID shutdown, and I've got a few of them left that I haven't entered. And we have a big show and tell here, instant gallery type thing going on Saturday outdoors. So it'll be our first time together. But wanted to get some feedback from everybody. I don't know exactly which one I want to enter. So it's either that one, with the router work, since Barry's doing router work there. I did a plunge bit, straight bit for the grooves, and then a cove bit on the outside rim of the bowl. Okay. And then how do I guess the other ones, well, I had I can't move to the next picture. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. I guess this one will be the one I enter.
So tell us, Dave, what club are you from?
From the Turners Anonymous in Pittsburgh.
Is that the only Pittsburgh area club, or is there more than one?
Yeah, well, there's one in Indiana, and there's one in Butler, a little bit north, and then Bill Blasek is up in Erie. They've got a club up there.
Got it. And how long you been turning?
About 10 years.
And what are you turning on?
Right now, a Grizzly 0766. 3 horsepower, 22-inch swing to it.
You happy with it?
Yeah. For what I want to do, mostly, you know, I'm chasing wet wood logs now, and so it works out pretty good for the bigger work, especially for coring.
I'm going to take advantage of you being there to ask a technical question to the group. Do you guys all see Dave beside his picture?
Yes.
Now, if I make him bigger, do you see him getting bigger, or is that just me here?
That's just you.
Just you.
How big do you see him?
I don't see him.
Same size as he was.
I see. Okay.
Same size as he was.
Got it. Thank you. I needed to know that. Okay.
Can you stop sharing, Dave?
Any questions for Dave?
Stop and share.
And I'm going to stop your share. If you would, please stop your own share.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go back to the.
I have one question. It's not exactly on that bowl, but your use of the core bit. I watched a record power demo this morning from Australia, and they were using a core box bit, and I was just wondering how deep could you reasonably go if you've had much experience with large core box bits? How deep can you go? And I was thinking about a 2-inch bit. Could you easily go 2 inches?
Well, I don't know. You'd probably burn the piece pretty good if you were trying to go that deep, I would think. I've just got that extended out from the router, maybe 1/8 of an inch top.
Okay.
I'm just kissing off the wood before I retract it and turn the index wheel.
It just looked like a fast way to do certain types of boxes. So
Mike, that thing probably only has cutting edges around the radius on the nose.
yes.
So you probably want to drill down almost to the bottom and then use the bit to make the bottom curvature.
Okay, so maybe a 1-inch drill. I've got a 1-inch brad point with a Morse taper on. So if I drilled out a 1-inch hole and then used a 2-inch bit, it might work all right.
It might work.
Might work. Worth a try.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go to Ken Vasco now. We don't know you real well, Ken. Where are you from? You're muted. You got to unmute.
Okay, here I am. I'm from the Nittany Valley Woodturners in State College, and I've been turning for about 10 years. I have a Grizzly 14-inch lathe and a Delta, same thing, 1444 or something like that. I'm just doing it as a little bit of a hobby, and started making bowls. People didn't, you know, you can only make so many bowls when you're first starting. People get tired of them. So I started making Christmas ornaments, and that's kind of panned out for me pretty well. I started with things like the bells. I moved into Christmas trees. And then I got a little more fancy with the Christmas trees.
You paint those ever, or they just always stay wood colored?
No, they usually stay wood colored. I just use natural wood. These are interesting because up near Du Bois, there's a baseball bat factory. And I went up, it's wood baseball bats. And I, at the end of the tour, they had a bunch of cutoffs. And they gave me 2 boxes of cutoffs, so a lot of my stuff came from baseball bats. So then I got into Mike Peace videos, and this is my homage to Mike. Thank you, Mike. So I made a little hollow.
Snowman.
Hold on, please. Somebody's talking on the phone in the background.
Because they stayed out so bad.
Would you lot who are talking, please mute yourselves? Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Carry on, please, Ken. Sorry.
Sure. And what I found out, this one came from a piece of wood that somebody was throwing out at riffraff days. We have put out garbage. I found out that was a nice piece of oak. But I found out that people like the thinner ones rather than the wider ones. Is that a nice way of saying it? So, and then this year I got into something new. I got into some snowmen. And it's interesting because I got into wood burning too.
Snow people, because they're not always men, right?
Yeah, you're right. I do both. So I got in a little bit of wood burning too. And an interesting thing I did, at the end of a turn, you have a little piece holding on. I made it a little bit longer, and then all I did is I just split it. So it looks like a little tassel cap.
Good idea.
Very good.
It's just something, a little less work. You don't have to sand it off. So after a while, you do get tired of doing the spindle turning. So this spring I got pretty bad. I wanted to go back into bowls. So I started making a few little bowls. Of course, I started out with small. This is a little walnut bowl. It's about 4 inches. It's got some nice chatoyance in it.
Pull it back closer to your face, not so close to the camera. Then we see it better.
You see that there?
Yeah. Good.
But that came out to be a nice little piece.
What's the finish?
This is honey locust. It's a Y. You can
What's
see.
your finish?
All right. We find out this was a piece my neighbor said it was chestnut. He's pretty sure 100%. And just did a little natural edge. Got some really nice grain to it.
It could be chestnut.
Then I started getting a little bit bigger. I had this is about a 10-inch bowl. It's only 1 inch. Has some beautiful, beautiful grain in it. The actual other side of this thing is this. You can see that they're the same. But what happened? This had so much pithy stuff in it that I had to turn it down, and it ended up being like this. This is a shape I kind of like. I've done a lot of bowls like this.
It's a very nice shape indeed. I like that.
Yeah, it has some. And then the last one I did here was this walnut one. Again, I like doing Ys.
Now, what's your finish?
I change finishes every time I do bowl. It all depends. I have my most trouble with the walnut. And actually, I ended with this because I was going to ask everybody what they use on their walnut. Because this is nice. It's this one was just lacquer, I think. This was spray lacquer is what I did on this one. So we had some nice days there. It was real hot and real dry, so I thought I'd take advantage of it and use some spray lacquer. But anyway, I had a busy spring. Summer, I'm a big gardener. We have a 40 by 80 garden, so that's where I've been spending most of my time. But I'll get back to it soon.
Any questions or comments for Ken?
I have one, Alan. Ken, you held up those you said were inspired by Mike. They're hollow underneath?
I started out making them this way. This one is not hollow.
Okay.
Okay. And then I kind of modified it and I made it hollow and has a lot less weight to it for an ornament to hang on your tree.
And I'm curious, how do you hollow that? You just hollow it?
I started out with it. I hollowed the blank first.
Gotcha.
And then I turned it around. Another thing I did, and I don't have any of them because I've been selling them at fairs, at shows. I use a step drill. And I put a step drill in and it kind of adds a little bit of interest to it. So, but you do it ahead of time and that kind of defines. That's why this one is so a little bit heavier than that one does. I don't know if you can see the girth difference.
Interesting idea.
Okay.
But I like the lighter weight. Sorry, Mike. But thank you for I appreciate your videos. I really do.
Same here.
Any more questions for Ken? I'm going to take the spotlight off you, and I'm going to go back to gallery view. And I think the next guy up is Kai. You ready, Kai?
Yes, I am. I'll just share the screen with you. Let me see. Oh,
I'm going to spotlight you. Okay.
Yeah, but something. That's not what I wanted. Now, can you see that big?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I watched one of these AAW Presents webinars with David Ellsworth, and he had a nice saw bench that he demonstrated on for preparing his blanks. And
Kai, we see all the thumbnails. Was there one particular picture you're showing us?
No, that's not what I want to show you. I want to show you the real thing, or the big ones. So again, can you see it big this time? Or is it still the thumbnail?
Oh, it's good.
No, that's good.
That's okay. Okay, so that was David's saw bench for his chainsaw he demonstrated with. And I liked it because I didn't have something like that, but I used either this one, and you can see it's already, or I already cut lots and lots of times into it, and then I tried to strengthen it again with some scrap wood, but actually it didn't do what it should do. So I decided I need something else. And that was my second solution then, an old pallet, but somehow the chain always found the nails in the pallet when I did sawing on it, and I had to resharpen the chain several times. So that was not an ideal solution as well. Then I decided to build one, and this is the first step here. I went to the DIY store and got some pre-dimensioned timber, rough sawn, and put that together using lots and lots of screws. Yeah, another step. And here I put it on end so you can see the bottom. First, I only had these pieces here, but they have end grain. And then I thought it's not a good idea to put end grain on wet soil because it has to stay outside. So I added this cross beam here. And after adding the cross beam, I thought, well, the cross beam looks nice. And I added some more scrap wood here and put some thick plastic foil that is used for ponds between the scrap wood and the cross beam here. So this will get wet, but I hope the moisture will not go up there. And so it will last forever, I hope. Okay, so yeah. And then I decided this is okay if you just cut a log in the middle, but if you have 3 cuts, for example, and leave a center board, then I need to do cutting here and here. And so I made these kind of wooden bits from leftovers with 2 dowels in them that I can stick in here and also on this side. so that I can saw into them. The dowels are just glued in, so there's no metal in there. In case I saw into them, I will make some new ones. Okay, and so that's what it looks outside now. And I started doing some sawing, and it works pretty well. And it's kind of steady. It has got these two things here. They are just used to hold a cover. I can flip them up, and once they are flipped up, I can put a cover on it so it is protected a little bit against the rain as well. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Let me see. You got to stop sharing your screen, please.
Yes. Okay.
All right. You should all be back to gallery view. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. Axel's next. Unless you got questions for Kai. I'm sorry. Any questions for Kai?
Can I show a very similar design to Kai's?
You got it ready. You got only a few minutes left, and I know there's a couple of burning desires in the room. You got it ready, Bruce? Ah, I've seen that design before. That's a good design.
Thank you.
You've gone mute, Bruce. I think you're muted.
I like that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the end pieces are fixed. There's a steel rod going through, and then you have at least the PVC pipe to protect you from hitting it, hopefully. And the three MDF pieces in the middle float, so you can kind of move them depending on the size of your cuts. But I just made this a couple weeks ago, and I think it's a nice design, but I guess other people have seen it as well.
I'd like to see it in about a year. See what's left of it.
I don't think it's a big deal to then, just unthread it and put some new MDF pieces in the middle.
Yeah, great idea. Looks good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, now I'm going to go to Axel, who's got the last word today.
All right. This is something I wanted to discuss. I thought you said we were going to have somewhere along the line, we're going to have the somebody from the magazine, from the Woodturners magazine, the AAW, American Woodturner.
Next week you'll be on.
Okay, my question is, and maybe I'll ruffle some feathers, but I'm looking at the page number 42 of the last one that just came out. And the first two things on it, there's not a piece of wood on there. It's fabric and something else, which I have no idea, for art. And are we getting away from wood turning? Because some of this stuff, I keep looking at it. What piece of wood was turned? It's carving, which I understand. But what does fabric have to do with wood turning? Are we getting away from wood turning?
I think
now.
You got a good lead into next week's conversation. And I hope you'll be back with us then.
Finishing up.
I hope to be back because
Ends at 11 o'clock.
I love to look at the magazine, but sometimes I look at the magazine, I got to go back to the cover. Am I really looking at a Woodturner magazine? Because 90% of this stuff is not turned. Or if the turning, if there's anything involved in the turning, it's about 3% just to make a shape that you can mount a piece of fabric or plastic or whatever it is on.
Well, 90% is a bit of an exaggeration there. You got 2 pages there out of 76.
Well, there's a whole lot more pages, the same thing. Here's a piece of glass, all right? And with a little piece of maple on top. Here's something made with a little piece of camphor and glass again. Yeah, maybe 90% is a little bit exaggerated, but I think it's entirely too much for our organization.
Well, bring that next week because you'll be able to talk to the guy who makes those decisions. I see another hand up is Mark Skinner. What do you got, Mark? Unmute yourself.
Yep. Just a question, which is, does anybody have any recommendations on something you can put on a bandsaw blade to keep it from gunking up when you're sawing wet wood?
Wax. There's Woodturner's Wonders sells a wax stick called, I think, a slick stick that it works like a deodorant. It screws, and if you wax each side, that's a very convenient one. But you could also, they sell one, Olson sells some kind of soft wax stick for wiping down each side of the blade as well.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered, does that make it difficult to finish the wood afterwards? Does the wax contaminate the wood?
I don't think it'd leave enough wax on it to be an issue, and depends on what kind of finish.
Yeah, because presumably you're not going to be finishing the rough cut anyways. So.
I wouldn't use silicone.
Okay, thanks. Thank
well,
you.
everybody, we've come around 11 o'clock. I thank you all for putting up with our learning how to do this. It feels a lot smoother than it was last week. We got a good group of guys in the room here who are working cameras and microphones. So I'm very grateful to John and Doug and Barry in the room. And yeah, any last words before we sign off? All right.
Great hybrid meeting. Well done.
Thank you very much. We'll be doing this again. Yeah. See you all next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.